Hello everybody, this is Demtri Word, bring you the real deal. I'd like to thank everybody who tuned in Wednesday for my sneak peek talking about Jackie Robinson West. I will dive into that topic a little later for a little while. Some stuff I need to get off my chest. People in the media talking about how certain people are talking about this issue, but I'll tell you why certain people are talking about this issue this way. But first off, start off with last night's only NBA game on TV. Bulls 113, Cavaliers 98. Big win, confidence-wise for Chicago. Not a very huge win, may you say it in the standards of the thing. They still hold the lead on us 2-1 in the season series right now. One more game left later on this year. But we now are one game over Cleveland and Washington, sitting nice in the third seed, and only 2 games behind Toronto for the second seed. That's big. That's big. Why is that big? Because you really want that home court advantage. I don't think Atlanta beats anybody in the second round to get to the East Finals. So I think if the Bulls are the number 2 seed, they will advance to the East Finals and have home court advantage. That's huge. The Cavs didn't show up last night. That was my take from the game. After I sat, thought about the game for a while, they just didn't show up. First off, I didn't even know Kyrie Irving was playing into the fourth quarter. Kevin Love did not play because of an eye injury. LeBron James, from the jump, from the tip-off, just did not seem like LeBron. 31 points can be a little misleading when the Cavaliers were outscored 93-66 with LeBron James on the court. They were outscored 93-66 with probably the greatest player on the planet right now on the floor. That's a minus 27 left for LeBron. The lowest of his career. Plus minus in his career. A minus 27. That's saying a lot. Defense by Tony Snell was a big part of that. He single-handedly forced 5 of the 8 LeBron turnovers last night. Yes, LeBron had 8 turnovers. 8 turnovers on the road. Let's see. Tony Snell, on top of the defense, gave us 22 points on 9 of 11 shooting. Paul Gasol, 18 points, 10 rebounds. That's big. 14 straight double-double. One shy of tying Michael Jordan's Bulls record set back in 88-89 season. More with those numbers. Gasol right now averaging 18.4 points a game, 12.2 rebounds. He will become only the 4th player in NBA history at the age of 34 or older to average those numbers if he keeps it up through the year. The other 3 guys, Will Chamberlain, Artis Gilmore, Robert Parrish. 3 Hall of Famers. Saying a lot about Gasol. Is he a Hall of Famer in my book? Yeah, first ballot Hall of Famer. Hands down. 2 NBA championships. And once again, at this age, playing at a championship level and made it to an All-Star game. That's big for Gasol. That's real big. Big for Gasol, big for Bulls basketball. Even bigger for Bulls basketball, Rose. With no Butler, we saw flashes of the 2010 MVP, hometown kid that we grew to love. Gave us 30 points, 7 assists, 12-24 shooting. Only 2 turnovers. That's an impressive stat line. But the stat we're not going to see is the drives to the basket. The first step was explosive. I think he took this matchup against Kyrie Irving a little personal. Kyrie Irving, as we know, starting point guard on the East All-Star team. Hey, that's Rose's spot. Rose like, hey man, I think I'm still the best point guard in the game. I've been injured the last 2 years. I didn't give my title away, and neither did nobody take it from me. And that's fair to say. Because last night, head-to-head, Rose versus Irving, when Kyrie Irving was guarding Derrick Rose, Rose was 7-12 from the field, 58.3%, 15 points, and average distance from the rim when he took his shot was 8.9 feet. That means he was in the paint. The Derrick Rose we like to see is when he got paint on his bottom of his shoe. Because that Derrick Rose is the best player in the league to me. When he gets in that painted area, He's faster than most point guards, even with 2 knee surgeries. He's getting that explosiveness back. He's getting confidence back. He's not afraid of his body. He's taking dives, spills to the floor, and getting right back up. Chicago fans were no longer holding our breath every time he goes in the air and comes down awkwardly or falls hard to the ground. Third quarter, we heard those MVP, MVP. We heard those chants last night. They were legitimate chants on how he played last night. They were legitimate chants. Defensively, when he was guarding Kyrie Irving only scored 8 points. 3 of 12 from the field, that's 25% shooting, and the average distance of shot was 12.2, which means Kyrie Irving was forced into taking a lot more jump shots than Derrick Rose was. Once again, 30.7 assists, huge, but the 2 turnovers, that's even bigger, and those 2 turnovers then come into the fourth quarter with 2 minutes left. Derrick Rose with 2 turnovers combined in the last 2 games. 17 assists, 53 points. He's getting back. Now he gets 7 days off to just clear his head, get ready to get back at it. We got a good stretch run. Right now, the Bulls have the 2nd easiest schedule for the remainder of the season. The 2nd easiest schedule. That means there's going to be a lot of games against the Magic and Boston and the Nets. All those teams, the Knicks, Sixers, a lot of games against those teams. Usually, that would be good for any contender down the stretch to have the 2nd easiest schedule in the NBA. But for the Bulls, it's not. It seems like we play the Torontos and the Clevelands and the Golden State Warriors of the league. We get up for those games. The best comes out of Rose, Butler, Gasol, everybody. But it seems like we play the Knicks, the Nets, the Pistons, all those bottom level teams, the Lakers, the Celtics. It seems like we don't show up. We just don't show up. We sit around, wait, let them get 15, 20-point leads. And in the fourth quarter with 6 minutes left, we want to do this big rush, running of the Bulls. And most of the time we wind up losing. Got to have the same type of intensity day in, day out. It's not going to come out long season, 82-game season. I understand people get tired. It happens. But as long as the intensity is there, the willpower to win is there, it's going to show up in the box score. Why do you think San Antonio Spurs, all these years, still championship contenders? Even as a 7th seed in the West, people are talking about them as championship contenders. Why? They don't take nights off. You might oust them that night. You might be better than them that night, but you could never say they just took the night off. Greg Popovich is not going to allow people to take the night off. That's the difference between him and Tibbs to me. Tibbs is a great coach. I love him. He's defense oriented. I love defense because once again, defense wins championship. Offense just helps you score points to get there. But defensive stops winning championships. Example, Malcolm Butler, New England Patriots. Shout out to the Super Bowl champs. But defense is how we win championships. Intensity, willpower is how you win championships. Got to be motivated to play, no matter if you're playing the 10-43 Knicks or you playing the 43-8 Golden State Warriors. It doesn't matter. You need to play the same against everybody. Little notes from the game. Mirotic, big 3 last night in the fourth quarter, put the Bulls up by 11 when Cavs were getting momentum back in the game. That was big. That was huge. That 3 was big. Probably more for Mirotic's confidence to just get the ball, a little pump fake, shoot the ball. He's been hesitating a lot. I'm not really fond of him hesitating. You're a shooter. That's what we got you here for. You need to shoot the ball more. Shoot the ball, Mirotic. Shoot the ball. Another big key, Bulls were in the bonus at 7:27 left in the fourth. A lot of free throws. They missed a lot, but being in the bonus, that just changed the game. Because now you're just driving. you're thinking, I gotta get to the bucket, I gotta get to the bucket, I gotta get to the bucket so I can get fouled. You might not get fouled, but you're gonna get a lot of easy points like Rose did. Bulls went on 7 runs last night when the Cavs thought they had momentum. A 9-0 run in the second quarter, and then the big one in the fourth quarter. 14-2 run when the Cavs had cut the lead to 7. When Kyrie Irving finally showed up to play basketball. Rose big in all moments last night. 13 in the third quarter. Put the Bulls up by 10. Once again, 30.7 assists, big for Rose, but the confidence, the driving I saw to the basket on Kyrie Irving, the going up against the bigs, being in air, reversing hands, coming down hard to the floor, hopping right back up, able to stick defense. He's playing whole first quarters again. Rose was not playing whole games anymore. Yes, he has started to play more and more games, but if you look at the minutes weren't there. Last night, Tibbs wasn't taking out Rose to put in Aaron Brooks. He like, my star's back. And we all saw it. That's why there was MVP chance in the third quarter. Why? Because it's good to see this guy who's been through a lot. 2 straight knee surgeries in back-to-back years. I don't know how many people could come from that. But once again, he's only 25 years old. He knows hard work. He knows struggle. At 25, 2 knee surgeries, a lot of people would have gave up. Brandon Roy gave up. He was just done. Derrick Rose, not going to give up. I think once again, he won't be MVP level, but he'll be All-Star level again real soon. He's not quite elite again once yet, but he's better than average. I still put him in my top 10 point guards right now. A notch below Westbrook, who's playing an insane level right now. Insane. Got John Wall, Damian Lillard. Right now, Rose is a notch below those guys, but come next year, a full season on his belt, hopefully a championship run, a good off-season workout with no USA basketball this summer, good conditioning, good strength. He'll come back next year, and hey, don't be surprised if Rose is back. Like, the real Derrick Rose is back. I'm seeing flashes. Flashes are good. It's good to see him get 100% confident before the real season starts, and that's the playoffs. I need Noah to get a little healthier. Gasol, keep up what you're doing. Just can't be so soft in the hall. That's my only knock on Paul Gasol. That was my knock on him in LA. He's just too soft sometimes. And when you have that weakness, people are going to get in your face and intimidate you. He did good last night. Timothy Mozgov, Tristan Thompson, they got down on him early in the game. Yes, they did. But he came through still big shots, big rebounds, good defense. He just needs to not have that soft mentality. Some people call it finesse. Finesse and soft is 2 different things. Finesse is how Golden State plays. But if you ask anybody, is Golden State soft? Nobody's going to take Golden State soft. Why? Because they're going to get up in your face when they need to. The Bulls aren't there yet. I don't think that's their makeup, their mentality. But they need to get a little bit more of that. Because there's going to come times in the playoffs when emotion is going to win a game or 2. We see it every year. Just pure emotion wills people to win a game or 2 in a 7-game series. It's been a long year, long playoff series. Guts is going to get you to win sometime. Emotions is going to get you to win sometime. Brooklyn Nets series 2 years ago, the Bulls were the outmatched team all series long. But just raw emotion of Nate Robinson willed the Bulls to 2 wins. 2 wins. It did that. First round series. First year without Rose, we weren't expected to do anything. Not at all. weren't expected to win, probably win one game. But won a whole series against a team that was way more talented at the time, way better players at the time. But what happened? Nate Robinson willpower, his emotions led him to win a couple games for us. That's why I need to see more of the Bulls. That's why I like how we keep bringing back Kurt Heinrich. A lot of people, they knock Kurt Heinrich. He's not good. He's a waste of space. That's a roster spot for somebody else. No. Kurt Heinrich is perfect for this team. We don't need him to score. Kurt Heinrich is the second best defender on this team. He's going to get up in whoever's face. He doesn't care. He going to scrap if he needs to. He going to push. He going to yell. He going to scream if he needs to. You ain't going to bitch or punk Kurt Heinrich. It's just not going to happen. We need a lot more of that from Rose, Butler, Gasol, Noah. Noah's emotional, but he's not tough. We need more physical toughness down low. More physical toughness in Chicago. We'll be fine. We'll be fine. I don't see too many people beating us. We'll be fine. A couple comments from Rose after the game last night. He said it means a lot to him to hear those MVP chants again. But once again, being a great team player that he is, after such a great game, which I think was his best game of the year, by far his best game of the year, he passed it off and said, hey, it ain't me. Get a credit to Tony today. I'm proud for Tony. Once again, reporter asks, how does it feel to hear those MVP chants? Hey, I'm glad for Tony. It's big for Tony Snell confidence to hear the best player on his team say, hey, keep doing what you're doing. We need that. That's big for his confidence to hear Derrick Rose say, we need you. See, it's a new Derrick Rose. That's why I'm confident the Bulls are going to be in the NBA Finals this year, because Derrick Rose is finally figuring out, I don't got to do this by myself no more. I don't have Keith Bogans and Luol Deng as my second and third options. Carlos Boozer disguised as the second best player on my team anymore. I have legitimate all-stars on my team. Legitimate all-stars. In Gasol, Noah, Butler. Up-and-coming players. In Miritich, Snell. Savvy vets in Gibson and Brooks. Still got hired. Still got Tibbs coaching. Rose is learning. Ain't got to do it no more for myself. And that's why he passes off to Tony and says, hey, no, tell Tony, great game. It's big. We needed him. And they did need him last night. No Jimmy Butler. Where we going to get those points from? And most importantly, who's going to guard LeBron James? LeBron James, 8 turnovers. Tony Snell helped calls 5 by himself. 5 turnovers by himself. That was a good game from the Bulls all around. Just need the second half to be just as exciting. We need more consistency. This second half, I think we need about a 650, maybe even 700 winning clip percentage to end the year out for a lot of people to be as confident and as excited about the NBA championship as I am. We need that. I'm pretty sure we're going to get it. Tibbs is going to get the guys ready. Starts Friday, the 20th, with Detroit. Got to come out and just blow Detroit out the water. No exceptions. Nothing close. Nothing coming down to the stretch, coming to the fourth quarter. By the third quarter, Detroit should just have gave up. That's the type of intensity the Bulls need to come out with for the rest of the year. That's exactly what it's going to take for them to become NBA champions. Cleveland now has won 14 of the last 16. They're for real. Atlanta's coming back down to earth. Washington, Toronto coming on back down to earth. Cleveland moving on up. Chicago has been even keel all year. Everybody has made their runs, either up or down. Chicago's just been sitting there all year, just right there. Can't get too much better. Not going to get too much worse. Now we need to shoot up. Like everybody wants the stock market to do, we need to shoot up. We need to get better, more consistent. Health. We need to stay healthy. Butler's minutes need to come down. Noah's minutes need to come down. Rose, Gasol, minutes need to come down. Tibbs, please, minutes down. We got a good bench. We don't need Rose, Butler, and Gasol all three playing 40 minutes a game. We don't need that anymore. We have guys like Brooks and Gibson who come off the bench who can score. Together they're averaging 20 points a game, 10.9 by Aaron Brooks and 10.2 points by Gibson. That's 21 points a game right there off your bench. Once again, Gibson can start on 20 teams in the league right now. 20 teams. Gibson will start on 20 teams in the league and give you 15 points, 10 rebounds a game. That's hands down. So when you have that type of complimentary player on your bench, you need to play him a little more. Let's get Gasol out the game. Let's get Gasol out the game a little more down the stretch. Well, about 12, a minute left. Have you not learned your lesson, Tibbs? Let's start getting these star players out the game. That little minute of rest at the end of the game, that's big on those legs. All those minutes, 2-3 minutes that you done played them or well up by 12, game out of reach, no other starters from the other team are in the game. All those 2-3 minutes add up. Ask them. They add up. It's gonna be a semi-easy roll for the Bulls to the East. Semi-easy. I see one roadblock, and that's of course the team we played last night. I just don't see them beating the Bulls, but that's going to be a hard roadblock. The West is just stacked. They're going to have a big problem against anybody they play in the West if they get to the finals. And looking at the West right now, man, how is it to be Golden State and you go? You're 43-8 right now. Best record in the NBA. Probably going to have the #1 overall seed. And potentially, let me say it again, potentially, your first round matchup could be the Thunder at the 8th seed. Now mind you, the Thunder are not an 8th seed team. This is a team that's made it to the Western Conference Finals 3 out of the last 4 years. This is not a team that's just all of a sudden lost it. Durant missed the whole first 2 months of the year. Westbrook been out 15 games this year. They're starting to get the groove back. That's a dangerous team to play in the first round. Could you imagine Golden State, OKC, round 1? Golden State wants Phoenix to win so bad because they know they can beat up and down on Phoenix. OKC, I'm not sure Golden State can beat them. If I had to predict right now, if the seedings were to go as they are as of right today, with Golden State at 1, OKC would probably be sliding number 8. Let me slide OKC number 8 over Phoenix. Golden State at 1, Memphis at 2, and San Antonio at 7. So you have a first round matchup. Your 1 versus your 8 would be Golden State versus last year's MVP Kevin Durant and Russell Westbrook. Your number 2 seed, Memphis Grizzlies, will be playing last year's NBA World Champions as the number 7 seed, San Antonio Spurs. Now, in my right mind, how this season has gone, I think Memphis can beat San Antonio. I think they could beat San Antonio. Am I gonna bet against San Antonio? No, you'll be a fool too. You'll be a plumb fool too. They're just that good. They don't have to have home court advantage. They can win at home, on the road. It's gonna be great playoffs over out west. And then OKC, Golden State. Whoa, once again, Golden State. What do you have to do? You win right now, have the best record in the NBA, and your potential first round matchup might be Kevin Durant and Russell Westbrook. And I'm letting you know right now, I'm picking KD and Westbrook all day. They were my pick to get to the NBA Finals in the West until Durant has the broken foot. They were my pick. And how they started to pick up later, they still might be my pick to get to the NBA Finals. Adding Dion Waiters was huge. That was one of the biggest in-season acquisitions. Once again, Thank you, LeBron James, for running off another good talent so somebody else can come pick him up. There's nothing wrong with Dion Waiters' game. But if I'm Dion Waiters, hey, I've been here the last 2 years losing. Now you want to come here because you LeBron James and tell us this how we gotta play? Hell no. I'm gone. Trade me. Yep, run me out the door. Let me go over here to OKC with a Kevin Durant and a Russell Westbrook, who been from the beginning, the only 2 stars, built this team from the bottom and have them as contenders every year. Not hopping from team to team to see which stars is on what team to see if I can win me another championship. Because no matter what anybody thinks, those rings Miami have, those are fraudulent. Once again, those are fraudulent championship rings. I don't care who you are, what you say to me, you ain't gonna change my mind. Those was the most fraudulent rings I've ever seen a team receive. They have been plotting since 2008 to join up together. They finally did it when they had the opportunity. But they only got 2 out of 4. They got to 4 straight NBA Finals. That's big. I congratulate you for that, because that is difficult no matter what 3 top 10 players you have on your team at one given point in time. Because mind you, when they first got together, LeBron, Wade, and Bosh were, hey, LeBron and Wade were 1 and 4, 1 and 3. However you want to put it at the time of that sign, they were 1 and 3 as top NBA players, and Bosh was in the top 10. Fraudulent rings to you? They're fraudulent. I think so. But OKC, you know, I have confidence they're gonna get past the Pelicans, past the Suns, get into that AFC, face off Golden State. It'll be a good matchup, but I just think that Kevin Durant, on the road he's on now, you're gonna give him 20 more games to get prepared for the playoffs. Give him Westbrook 20 plus more games to get prepared for the playoffs. I think them right now, every game is do or die for them. Every game is like a playoff game to them right now. So they're already in that do or die mindset right now. Golden State's coasting. They chilling. They got their feet kicked up. Steph Curry sitting in his chest shooting shots. Klay Thompson sitting in his chest shooting shots. Harrison Barnes sitting in his chest shooting shots. Steve Kerr got his feet kicked up. Golden State chilling right now. That might come back to haunt them, because they got a good 4-game lead in the West over Memphis. They're chilling. I think right now, Steph Curry said a couple days ago, hey, when we come back from this break, we need to get right at it. First game back from the break against San Antonio. They said, hey, we need to get right at it. Every night in, night out, the West, you're facing a potential NBA champion in the West every night. The top 8, any one of those top 8 teams could win the championship. Any one of those 8. So, you know, hey, big game. Big games, big games. On to another note, college basketball last night. We had number 3 Gonzaga beating Loyola Mary. Gonzaga improving to 25-1. 13-0 in the conference. Open the game on a 20-0 run. Right now, as we know, Kentucky is undefeated and the only undefeated program in NCAA Division I right now. I think they are the favorites to win the national championship. But hey, can't sleep on Duke and Jahlil Okafor. Virginia, they did lose Anderson. But hopefully he can be back come tournament time. They say about 4 to 6 weeks. Hopefully wrap that hand up in about a month and get ready to go out there for tournament time. Also, you have Wisconsin. That Frank Kaminsky guy, I think he's one of the best players in the country right now. Forget all the freshman hypes, all the Lyles and the Russells and the Okafors. He is probably one of the best college players in the game right now. Got Wisconsin ranked at number 5 right now. Speaking of Big Ten, once again, the Big Ten, it's not a strong, top-heavy strong, more balanced this year. Illinois last night beats Michigan, improved to 17-8, 7-5 in the conference. They win 64-52 in overtime. Kendrick Nunn leads all scorers with 21 points, 3 rebounds, 3 assists. 3 assists. With 3 minutes to go last night in the game, I did tune into that game last night. With 3 minutes to go, Illini were down 50-43. Now in the college game, 3 minutes is like it's not an eternity. It's very short because 35-second clocks. They're holding the ball. It's real hard to come back from 3 minutes left in the college game. A lot has to go in your favor, and it did. Nunn, 5 big points at the end. Game time 3-point shot. Nene Egwu, great defense on 2 inbound passes to cause turnovers. Great defense. Great defense. I give props to John Gross for seeing that and putting Nene Egwu 6'11", 7'3" wingspan on the inbounds pass. That was great right there. Illini goes on to close out the game and close out the second half and overtime on a 21-2 run. It was 50-43. And within the next 8 minutes, 3 minutes of regulation, 5 minutes of overtime, Illinois held Michigan to 2 points in 8 minutes. And those 2 points came by 2 free throws. Illinois scored 21 points in that time. Big shots by Kendrick Nunn, 6 big points by Egwu in overtime. Another Chicago product, Malcolm Hill, another big game. Illinois product, Vontae Rice. He didn't have quite a scoring game, but he came up with 2 big points late and big rebounds and 2 big steals. Starks kept us in the game earlier. Couple points early in the game, 9 points in the first half. That was big. Keep Illinois close, keep them within distance. Right now, Joe Lunardi of ESPN Bracketology has Illinois as one of the teams in. That's big. He has Illinois one of the teams in, 17-8, 7-5 in the Big Ten right now. That's good. Wins on the road at Michigan State. That was a big win last week. That was a real big win. This is a big win this week because next couple games you got Wisconsin, Iowa, and Michigan State at home. What I've seen, Iowa could lose to anybody. They're the most underachieving team, I think, in college basketball. The most inconsistent team in college basketball. Last couple of years, we've had all this hype about the Iowa Hawkeyes, gonna do this, they're gonna do that, and they just can't win when they need to win. Last year just collapsed down the stretch. Devin Marvel and those boys just collapsed. This year, Aaron White and those boys are just not getting the job done. They're just not getting the job done when they need to. Big loss against Minnesota. That right there put them in the last 4 out. That put them in Joe Lunardi's last 4 out. Right now, Illinois is in. Hopefully they can stay in. Return to the tournament because I think when you get into that tournament play, if you have 3 guys who can score the ball like Illini have, now with the emergence of Malcolm Hill and Kendrick Nunn as sophomores and then the senior Vontae Rice, you have a defensive stopper in the middle at Egwu. You have Crosby right now who's suspended, but he should be back. He should be back shortly. Get stuff going. That's a good team. Malcolm Hill is no joke. Kendrick Nunn is no sleeper. I wouldn't be surprised if one of the two, if not both of them, entered the NBA draft this year. Wouldn't be top 10 or top 15 picks, but they can get picked in the bottom of the first round, go to a contender. Malcolm Hill, 6'7". He can ball. He can ball. Chicago produces great basketball players, and Malcolm Hill and Kendrick Nunn, they just happen to be 2 of them. They can ball. John Gross is bringing back Illinois basketball, getting us to have the best recruits out of Illinois go to their hometown school. How many kids from North Carolina don't play at Duke or North Carolina? Not many. How many people? Not many. How many kids grow up in Kentucky, the best at Kentucky, and don't play at Louisville or Kentucky? Not many. How many kids in Ohio, the best, don't go to Ohio State? Not many. John Gross is doing something for Illinois basketball and Chicago basketball. He's bringing back the best players from the state to come play at a Illini program. We get back to the tournament, we can do some stuff. we could do some stuff. On a couple of NFL notes, Josh McCown was cut by the Tampa Bay Bucks after only 1 year. And this is the guy who wanted to be our starting quarterback in Chicago. Oh, let's get rid of Jay Cutler. Josh McCown did great for us. He was cut after 1 year. 1 year. 1-11. That was Josh McCown's record. And we were ready to ship Jay Cutler out for Josh McCown. What that means for the NFL is that now we know the Bucks own the #1 draft pick, and they are either going to go with Jameis Winston or Marcus Mariota. It's been a lot of toss-up about who should go #1. I just say, look at the body of work. Look at the body of work. Marcus Mariota had a great Heisman year yet last year. Very great. Very great. 40-plus touchdown passes, 3 interceptions. Ridiculous numbers. But it's the in-between the stuff that I like to look at. Passes downfield of 20 yards or more. Passes in the pocket. His ability to not run the fast-paced offense. How many of those touchdown passes and lack of interceptions were because of the type of speedsters and talent the Oregon Ducks had on their team? We saw against Ohio State what happens when he ran up against a defense that was just as fast, just as conditioned, and way stronger. They dominated Marcus Mariota. Now, Marcus Mariota, when you get to the league, your team is not going to have 3 track stars lined up on this side and 2 track stars lined up on that side. We're not running no huddle the whole game. It's a different ball game. Just like a couple years ago, take Robert Griffin III over Andrew Luck. Are you crazy? Are you crazy? And it's the same thing. You got to be the dumbest. Tampa Bay will be one of the dumbest draft decisions ever if they take Marcus Mariota over Jameis Winston. If you're going to take Marcus Mariota over Jameis Winston, you need to trade that pick away to somebody else who would take Jameis Winston, #1. And you take Marcus Mariota and live with that. But you don't waste the #1 overall pick on Marcus Mariota. In my book, Marcus Mariota is not a first-round draft pick at all. He's a first-round draft pick because of accomplishments he achieved at Oregon. Once again, that can be a little skeptical. Those no-huddle offenses translating to the NFL, those type of quarterbacks, it takes them a little longer to develop. Jameis Winston right now is ready to start in the NFL. If the season started today, Jameis Winston would be starting for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He is going to be the star, barring any injury or any off-the-field problems with Jameis Winston. He's going to start. He's going to start. This is a better draft than we've seen in a lot of recent years. A lot of defensive ends up at the top. Amari Cooper, stud wide receiver. Stud. I don't think he's better than the last couple group of guys we had come out. Sammy Watkins, Odell Beckham. I think he would still be below them. Mike Evans in Tampa Bay. He'd still be a notch below them, but Amari Cooper is a stud out of Alabama. A stud. My Bears here, they got top 10 pick this year. All of my drafts, pretty much every mock draft I've seen. Defensive tackle, Danny Shelton. That's good. We need to build our defense. That's the most important thing. I'm not worried about a quarterback issue because who else is out there? Look at the free agencies right now. We got Mark Sanchez listed as the best available quarterback as a free agent. The best available quarterback. I don't want Mark Sanchez over Jay Cutler. I don't care how many interceptions Jay Cutler throws. I don't care how many times he sacked and fumbles the ball. I don't care how he looks on the sideline with his head down like he just don't want to be there. I don't want Mark Sanchez on my team. I don't want Josh McCown back. I don't want a Jason Campbell. I don't want a Colt McCoy. I don't want any of those guys. If we're not going to trade up and get a Jameis Winston or hope that Marcus Mariota falls to us, then were stuck with Jay Cutler. We were stuck with Jay Cutler when you gave him all that guaranteed money, when you signed him to that big contract. We were stuck with him then. We're going to be stuck with him for the next couple of years. Now what we need to do is make the best out of a horrible situation. And it starts on the defensive side of the ball. Because once again, Jay Cutler had career numbers in yards. Mistakes were up from the year before, but a career year in yards. Jay Cutler is not a scrub, but he's not elite. But he's better than 15 other starting quarterbacks in the NFL right now. It's a lot of teams that will take Jay Cutler right now. Tennessee will take Jay Cutler gladly off our hands. Buffalo will take Jay Cutler. The New York Jets would take Jay Cutler. The Minnesota Vikings would take Jay Cutler. The Arizona Cardinals would take Jay Cutler. St. Louis would love to have Jay Cutler. It's just Chicago and our unappreciated fans that would not keep Jay Cutler. But will say, hey, let's go get Mark Sanchez. Hey, let's start Josh McCown. That's why we're fans and they're GMs. Because once again, Josh McCown cut after 1 year with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And we wanted him to start. Our problem is not Jay Cutler. He's not the only problem. Our problem was a coach who wasn't an NFL coach, more like an offensive coordinator, Mark Trestman, disguised as a coach. Our GM, Phil Emery, not a GM. I could have put together a better football team than that. Giving guys like Jared Allen, Lamar Houston, the clown Lamar Houston, who gets his first sack of the year, losing 45-17. You get your first sack of the year and you're losing, and you'll dance and tear your ACL. That's the type of atmosphere that was in the locker room last year. Lance Briggs, before the opening game of the year, instead of going to the final practice, you're out in California opening up a goddamn restaurant. You cracked a couple years ago about getting a new contract, and the Bears, the suckers that they are, gave you a new contract instead of keeping the great Brian Urlacher for only $1 million more. Gives you a contract. Brian Urlacher would have never went to the opening of a restaurant the week that he was scheduled to practice or play a game. Just that simple. Lance Brooks, you were not a leader last year. You were not a leader. You have young, good players on that defense that if you were to lead them and they respected you, that defense would have been a lot better. I'm excited about John Fox coming to Chicago. Football's a long ways away. We need to get the Jay Cutler, Brandon Marshall situation under wraps. I think Marshall, 12 million cap hit next year. Not that bad. Jay Cutler, there's no better options right now. I think John Fox has figured it out. I'm not saying the Bears are going to be a playoff team, but I'm optimistic that we're better than 5-11, 6-10, 9-7, 10-6 maybe. But I'm optimistic. You know, certain things go right. Aaron Rodgers doesn't play like Aaron Rodgers. I'm not sold on Detroit. Detroit got the other wild card this year, so that's a spot open. I don't see Detroit being the same team. Of course, the South, they're only going to give you one team, the worst division in pro football right now. And then on the West Coast, that division is not as strong anymore. It's not San Francisco, Seattle, and everybody else anymore. It's Seattle and everybody else. That's how the NFC is going to be. Shouts out once again to the Patriots, Super Bowl 49 champions. With inflated footballs. On to some little MLB news. Yesterday finalized a 4-year, $71 million deal the Padres inked with James Shields. The Padres made a lot of moves, getting Matt Kemp and Justin Upton in a trade. Then adding James Shields to a rotation with Ross, who I think is just a stud. And Andrew Cashner, ex-Chicago Cub. Couldn't keep his shoulder right. But once again, I think Andrew Cashner is a stud. The Padres are gonna have a good run, but once again, they're in the division with the Dodgers, one of the best records in the NL last year, the best record, second best record in the NL last year, and the San Francisco Giants, who have won 3 out of the last 5 World Series. I don't think that the San Francisco Giants are gonna be that hurt by Pablo Sandoval leaving. To get there, he was big in the playoffs, but he was pretty much an average third baseman. Not a lot of range. Of course, no speed. A very little minimum pop off the bat. Hit for average. Didn't strike out a lot. But he was an average third baseman. It was just that when it counted in the clutch postseason, he came through. And that's why John Lester got paid all that money by the Cubs. 2 years ago, John Lester had a 4.36 ERA. Does that sound like a guy who should be demanding 7 years, $151 million? No. Last year, best ERA. Last year, 3.33. That's not great. 3 point anything is not great. Yes, he was in the American League East, but come on now. We got Clayton Kershaw coming out there. He was under 2. An ERA of under 2 for consecutive years. That deserves $160, $170 million. Max Scherzer doesn't deserve $190 million. John Lester, not $151 million. But Lester got paid $151 million. Why? Because he's 3-0 in World Series games pitched. 2-time champion with the Red Sox. Yeah, that's why he got paid $151 million. Now, in baseball, instead of paying for past accomplishments, we're going to pay for postseason hope. Postseason accomplishments. Hoping that we get to the postseason. Chicago baseball is exciting this year. We got Jeff Samardzija signing with the White Sox. Of course, they got Melky Cabrera. David Robertson. The White Sox, quiet as kept, probably the second best rotation after the Washington Nationals rotation. You're throwing Chris Sale out there. He did miss a couple. He missed about a month and a half last year. If he didn't miss that month and a half, the numbers he was putting up were very similar to Clayton Kershaw's. Historic year. He comes back this year, puts up those same type of numbers, he might win the AL Cy Young and the MVP. He had those type of numbers. We all know what Samardzija can do. He just never really had an offense behind him. We know what his win-loss is. That's not an indication of what type of pitcher he is. Look at his ERA. Look at his strikeout to walk ratio. Look at his strikeouts per 9 innings ratio. Top 10 in the past 2 years of starting pitchers. Top 10 with over 100 innings pitched. That's top 10. That's Jeff Samardzija. He's good. The White Sox, I think, with the Tigers, being not quite the Detroit Tigers anymore, and of course the Kansas City Royals representing the American League in the World Series last year, I think the gap has been closed considerably. Probably going to be one of the tightest races in baseball. 3 teams going at it. I think the White Sox fall a little short this year, just a little short. Maybe miss on the final wild card spot about 2-3 games. Miss on the division by about 4 games. On the other hand, North Side, my team, the Cubs. I don't know if it's the hype, the Cubs fan in me, but I honestly think we can win the division this year. I honestly think that. A lot of you guys don't think I'm crazy, but I think that we could win the division. Why I say that? You look at the Cardinals team last year. The Cardinals are always going to be there. They're always going to be in the mix somewhere along the line because it's just St. Louis Cardinals baseball. But is that gap between the Cubs and Cardinals like this, or is it getting smaller like this? The gap is dwindling. People are afraid of the Cubs. Like when the Cubs walk on the field now, it's not going to be, oh, it's the Cubs. Hey, we're going to win 2 out of these 3 games this series. No, it's, hey, we got to play. They got some kids who can play. Castro, good shortstop. Baez, Alcantara is second. Rizzo, who I think have an MVP year first. Chris Bryant will be here before May 1st. He will be called up, save his little service time. I don't see the big deal. What is a year? We have Chris Bryant locked up for the next 6 years. What is a year going to do for me in 6 years when he's 26? You think we're going to remember that year? Because if you're smart and if he's as good as every scout across the baseball world say Chris Bryant is, after 3 or 4 years of him posting big numbers, let's lock him up long term then. Why do we have to wait? Why are we saving a year, 6, 7 years from now to lock somebody up long term? I just don't get it. The pitching staff is better. We have Lester, of course, leading it off at the top, ace. Hamill, number 2 starter. But I think Jake Arrieta should be the number 2 starter. So him and Hamill, 2 and 3. And then Kyle Hendricks. Man, he doesn't pitch those exceptionally hard. He's something of a finesse pitcher, corner to corner. He shoots off-speed stuff. But the numbers he posted last year down the stretch run is nothing to be sneezed at, man. The kid looks like he can play. Let's see what you can do with a full year under your belt. And then Water, he's a good lefty to end your rotation on. And hopefully we get the Felix Doubront from Boston to get a win the World Series. Because if we can get that Felix Doubront, that's a legitimate number 2, number 3 starter in baseball right now. That's good. That's good. Another note, Blackhawks struggling over the last couple games. Lost 4 of their last 5. I'm not as concerned about the Blackhawks as I am about the Bulls right now because the Blackhawks have won Stanley Cups. Multiple Stanley Cups with this squad. So I'm not too worried about them. I think they'll get it together. A lot of people talk about the little switch that you can flick on and off to get your season going, but I really think the Blackhawks have a switch that they just switch on and off when the playoffs come. Hey, it's proven fact. They get to the Western Conference Finals or the Stanley Cup Finals every year. Every single year. So I'm not concerned about the Blackhawks. I'm very confident they'll be hoisting another trophy for us this year, or if not this year, next year, real soon. Earlier this week, we lost one of the greatest college basketball coaches, Dean Smith. What I know about Dean Smith is that he's coached some of the best at North Carolina, the likes of Michael Jordan, James Worthy, their group of guys. It's sad. Times are changing. Great coach. Times are changing. See guys like Mark Krzyzewski still at it, over 1,000 wins. How much did he learn from Dean Smith? You ask him, he'll tell you. Games that he evolved with Michael Jordan and James Worthy. Michael Jordan said out of his mouth, Dean Smith was like my second father. He taught me more about life and basketball than anybody else did. That's coming from the greatest player in the world. The greatest player ever to play this sport of basketball in the world said that this man taught him the most about basketball and life. Hey, that's good quotes. Good quotes by Michael Jordan. We like that. Thoughts and prayers go out to Anthony Mason and his family. Right now, Anthony Mason in the hospital, not doing good. Played for the Knicks, known for getting a little rough and tumble with people every now and then. But you know, I like that in players. I like that. I was able to see Anthony Mason play a little bit as I was growing up. Watched a couple games. Well, you know, thoughts and prayers go out to Anthony Mason and his family. Hope he can pull through. So, this is the part of my show, the end part, that I like to call the rant. Because this is where I'm just going to go off on a lot of people. Everybody who is criticizing anybody for saying anything about Jackie Robinson West being stripped of a title, just shut up. Just shut it up. It's not about race. It was never about race. It's not about where we live. It's not about the poverty. It's not about any of that. It's about a grown man wanting a title to be stripped from 12 and 13-year-olds because he lost 43-2. The Little League investigated twice and could not find anything wrong with anything that was going on. But Chicago Sun-Times writer and the mayor of Evergreen Park and the coach, he got the audacity to go on outside the lines and say it had nothing to do with them losing 43-2. It had everything to do with them losing 43-2. Because when you lost 43-2 to them, you knew that those kids were ineligible to play on that team. We've all played Little League sports. We've all played high school sports. We know how the eligibility goes. We know that every coach knows that this player lives here, but they're using his auntie's address or his cousin's address or his other parent's address so they can go to this better school and play at this better school or play in this better district over here. It goes on all the time. But why grown men are interfering because they lost is insane. It's not about race. It never was about race. Rules were broken. How big of the rules? I look at it more as a technicality than as a rule. Because you knew back in August that they weren't supposed to be playing. But it takes to February to take a title away. I hope this Sun-Times reporter, all the legwork that he put in to investigate these kids, I want you to investigate some of those kids on that Las Vegas team. They don't look quite 12 or 13 to me. Some of them have more facial hair than I got. Why don't you go out there and investigate some of them kids? Why are you tearing down the people in your own community? Yeah, you found something wrong, but why expose these little boys? Nobody else, the Little League. You brought the information to them. They said it wasn't enough. We're not going to do nothing about it. I'm glad to see Rahm Emanuel, Father Michael. Everybody is stepping up. This is where Jesse Jackson and Al Sharpton need to come out and say something. They always running around every time a police officer do this to somebody or they feel equality is being took away from the black people. Well, right here, right now is a prime example. Young black men did everything they had to do right. Everything they had to do right. And their good was stripped away from them. This is not a shot at white people. This is not a shot at corporate America. This is a shot at everybody out there who's not saying enough or talking just too damn much. Just too damn much for me. It's just dumb. I'm done with it. I'm not going to be talking about it anymore. Because like I said before, they're still the champions. It's a trophy. It's a title. We all saw it. Let's get out of vacating wins from people, especially kids. I saw a piece on Facebook yesterday. 75 champions, 3 titles have been stripped away in the 75 years of Little League Baseball. One similarity by all 3 teams. All 3 different situations, but one similarity by all 3 teams. All dark-skinned people. 2 Puerto Rican teams from the Bronx. 1 all African American team from Chicago. Let's take a look. Let's take a closer look at that, guys. Let's take a closer look at that. Well, I hope y'all enjoyed me. It's been love. It's been great. This is The Real Deal. I'm your host, Demtri Word, and I'm signing out. I will see you guys Monday morning. You have a great, safe weekend. Enjoy your families. Kiss your loved ones. Let's tune into some college basketball this weekend. Catch the All-Star game. I'll see you guys back Monday. I love my fans. I love you guys. Have a great and safe weekend.